Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I want to talk about the Academy Awards that happened this last Sunday. If you're aware, not a lot of people watched it, so maybe some were even aware it happened until after it happened. But I ended up having to go to work that day, so I actually didn't get to sit and watch the whole thing as it actually happened. I got to see little bits of it at work when I had the TV on. I saw maybe the last hour. I got to actually sit down and kind of watch the last part of the show, so I got to see that. And then in the last couple of days, I had to watch YouTube videos, kind of catch myself up on what happened, and I watched a lot of other people analyze what happened. So it's been an interesting week, kind of listening what people think about it, and I kind of come up with the same conclusion. So this isn't any new information; it's just my thoughts as I watch it. Um, as somebody who I would consider myself a hardcore Oscar fan, expert, I read a lot of books on Oscars. I look up a lot of information. I have a fair amount of knowledge, I think, about the Oscars, the history, and everything. And I've always been a fan since I was a kid. I think I've probably watched it from about 1994, that was the year of the movies. So about 1995, 1994, those Oscars on. I pretty much watched every Oscars, and it's been one of the most exciting parts of the year for me. I always look forward to the Oscars, except for the last about 5 years. I haven't looked forward to it as much. It's been not as fun to watch, unfortunately. Um, they have done a pretty bad job with the Oscars, but back when I was a kid and growing up, man, Oscars were so exciting. It was such a fun, entertaining show. But it's definitely changed a lot since then. Of course, this year is such a abnormal year, such a weird year, different year for movies. Um, so it's hard to compare this Oscars, I think, to other Oscars just because of what kind of year we had last year. Definitely changed everything. Um, but you definitely can say the Oscar telecast has definitely been going downhill for a while now. Every year it's a new low in viewership. That's been happening at least, I'm sure, for the last 5 years or so. Um, and saying that, watching this Oscars, I would say it was one of the most boring, most uneventful Oscars ever. And a lot of that was just because of COVID-19 just totally killed the movie industry this last year and killed the awards season for sure. All the award shows, Grammys, Emmys, Tonys, whatever, they've all been terrible because of what they have to do now to put on a show. You can't put on a big show with a big audience and with big sets. And that's part of the fun of watching an award show is watching those really cool stage sets, those huge stages with sets, and have the orchestra there playing music and having that audience of celebrities, and having the camera go and you can see all the celebrities out there. That's part of the fun of the show, and it definitely you couldn't do it this year, so that definitely killed a lot of the interest and excitement of putting on an award show. They did try to make it, different from the other ones where it was all Zoom calls, and the winners had to give their acceptance speeches at home. This one, they were actually there at the show, so they actually tried to make a little bit of a show as best they could. Still, it was so low maintenance compared to previous Oscars. It was a very small stage. They had at the Union Station, train station, whatever, and I guess in California, I'm guessing, or I don't know if that's in New York, but wherever it was, they had a small stage, you had a small audience uh, of nominees, and they were at these tables, these round tables, much different than they usually have a stadium seating type, whatever, movie theater seating type with everybody together, but because they had the most social distance, everything looked different, and of course, like I said, there was no great stage production. It was just a small stage. So that definitely hurt. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you compare. So from what I've read, of course, viewership is way, way down. It went down to just under 10 million viewerships, which the year before it was 23 million viewership. So the audience went down almost 60%. I mean, huge jump. I mean, by far the worst ratings they've ever had. And the year before, the 23 million viewers was the lowest they've ever had. And then the year before that, whatever that was the lowest. So every year it's getting lower and lower. Obviously, it's hard to compare because this is so low because just the movie industry, just the what happened killed the movie industry. Theaters had to shut down. The big movies had to pull out because nobody was going to the theaters. Uh, Movies that were being shot had to be paused and postponed, and a lot of theaters had to go out of business. And then when they started moving or started opening up movie theaters, there's all these restrictions of like you have to wear a mask. Of course, you have to social distance, so you couldn't fill out a movie theater. I think the beginning you couldn't eat or drink maybe when you watched, and that takes out all the fun of going to a movie theater. I didn't go to a movie at all last year. All I saw was what was on streaming channels, because even when the movies opened up or theaters opened up, I mean, I don't want to go to a movie theater and have to wear a mask the whole time watching a movie. That's no fun. I'd rather sit at home and watch a movie on a streaming channel. So that, I totally killed everything. And I don't know when it's ever going to get back to normal, if ever. People are going to go back. I know theaters open now. They're opening. I think they're opening big movies at the theaters. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. All I hear is about HBO Max. Usually the big movies are coming out on HBO Max, so I don't have that channel or that app or that streaming channel. So those who have it are watching some of the newer movies like Mortal Kombat and uh, Godzilla versus King Kong. Those kind of movies are kind of the big ones that would be big, make a fair amount of money at the theater, but because it's streaming and all that, and what's going on with theaters, I don't know that they're making any money that way. But so just to say, it's a very different year. So I don't know if under 10 million viewership is vindictive of how bad the Oscars have gotten, or it's really just a 1 year anomaly because of what happened with the movie industry this year. So I don't know if you can compare that, but of course everybody's saying, "Oh wow, like the Oscars are, the worst ever. It's gone down 60% in viewership. You know, what's going to happen? All this stuff. Are we going to not have an Oscars? Are they going to have to, cancel the show?" I wouldn't think so. It'd be interesting to see if viewership goes up the next year, if they start, like I said, opening up theaters, people are going to the movie theater more, people caring about movies more. I don't know if that'll make the Oscars. Of course, right now nobody cares about the Oscars, so I don't know. It maybe if next year it's still the same, it's under 10 million, then I think you definitely say, yeah, the Academy's definitely lost everybody. They definitely need to do something drastic to try to get people back into watching the Oscars, because that used to be, I don't know, such a fun event. To me, I put it up there with like the Super Bowl or the NCAA tournament. Every year I look forward to the WrestleMania or things I would look forward to every year. I put the Oscars up there as like the real granddaddy of the award shows, of the award show season, kind of the last big one of the awards season. Anyways, just thinking about the Oscars, watching it, um, the, like I said, obviously because of the social distancing, because of scaling down the award show, it's gonna be hard to get people to watch it. There's still things the Academy probably could have done to make it better, and they don't do, unfortunately. Uh, because there's some things that have really killed the Oscars in the last 5 years, I would say. Um, well, how do I say this? One thing is, it really helps if you have a host. If you have a really good, funny host who opens up the show with a bang, tells these hilarious jokes, does a funny skit, that really opens up the show on such a high note. And then actually giving out the awards isn't the most interesting part of the award show, except for like best actor, best actress, best picture. Those are fun to watch, to see who wins, and kind of you're kind of interested in if there's going to be an upset or not. But the thing about the award show is it's supposed to be entertaining. That's the whole point of having an award show. If you just want to give out awards and give political speeches, you can do that in 30 minutes. You put on a 3-hour show. You really want comedy. You want singing. You want dancing. You want big set designs. You want big time celebrities being interviewed. You want all of that. That makes it entertaining. And they really take the entertaining out of the show. And a big part of that is taking out the host, not having a host. Of course, what killed that was the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement about 3 years ago or whatever really just killed the Oscars for me. I love a good word host. I grew up watching, Billy Crystal was the big one in the 90s, into the 2000s. But even if you look historically back, like in the 40s, 50s, I think Bob Hope hosted a lot. I'm sure he has the record for most hostings. Bob Hope was, if you watch YouTube videos on Bob Hope doing like the opening monologue, he's absolutely hilarious because the monologue is all about roasting the nominees and roasting the movies and roasting the movie industry. And that's fun to watch as an audience member. Kind of watching them make fun of themselves, and laugh at themselves. That's fun to watch. And there's a lot of humor you can get out of that. And Bob Hope was so good at it. He's so good at roasting people, and he was absolutely hilarious. And then getting to, I want to say the 70s maybe, Johnny Carson took over, and Johnny Carson was absolutely hilarious. He hosted quite a lot, I think, in the 70s, maybe into the 80s era. He really dominated the hosting. And yeah, again, he was coming up with so many funny ideas and the monologues and stuff. And of course, he was so good. He was the uh, late night, Tonight Show talk show host who was really, really popular, the most popular talk show host of all time. Anyway, so he got that. And then, like I said, in the 90s, Billy Crystal kind of took over, and he made it his own thing where he did like a song and dance number of all the nominees, and he also put himself in like different movies and pretended like he was in the movie when he really wasn't. Those were really funny ideas that really worked, and then he did it for a while, and then in the 2000s they kind of went. They didn't really have a dominant host. Steve Martin did it twice. Steve Martin was absolutely hilarious. The two times he did it. His brand of humor is great. Of course, he hosted Saturday Night Live so many times. He's really good at that. Jon Stewart did it twice in a row, I believe, and he was really good. He was very funny. Then after that, Whoopi Goldberg did a couple times. Whoopi Goldberg wasn't funny at all. Hers were terrible. I always think of my favorite Oscars are the ones with the best hosting jobs or the best hosts. So I always think of Billy Crystal in the 90s and Steve Martin, I said, in 2000s. Those were such great shows I have really good memories of. Then they kind of went to where they were doing just one host, almost like they did Chris Rock, and then the next year they'd do someone else. They did like Hugh Jackman. Uh, they would just do one. For some reason, they wouldn't have a dominant host. They just change it every year, which sometimes works, sometimes didn't. Obviously, there's the fiasco of the James Franco Anne Hathaway host, which wasn't funny. Not good chemistry between the two. Just a really awkward show, and it was a terrible show because of that. I think everybody remembers that. It was a terrible Oscar show, and I remember that was the one where King's Speech won over Social Network and Inception. And yeah, I don't think anybody talks about that. All they talk about is the negativity of that show. Hugh Jackman was great. I thought he did a great job. I would love to see him back. I even thought Seth MacFarlane did a good job. I enjoyed him a lot. Chris Rock was okay. I'm not as big fan of Chris Rock, and he did it twice. But there's a gap in between. And then Jimmy Kimmel did it 2 years in a row. So Ellen DeGeneres did it twice, and she was good. I liked Ellen DeGeneres. I thought I did a good job. I wouldn't mind her doing more hosting. Then Jimmy Kimmel came, and Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is so unfunny. His two hosting jobs were terrible. Those two Oscars were terrible. The viewership was very low. I just don't like Jimmy Kimmel at all. So I'm glad they were going to go away from him after the two times. I hate to see him be the one to kind of dominate, and they really don't want one to dominate. They just want one after another, different host every year, or every once in a while they have a host that does it twice, 2 years in a row. But I don't know, if you can get a really good host, like I said, it really worked when they had a dominant host that did a lot of Oscars, that were really good at it and very popular with the audience that everybody liked. It really elevates the show, I think. Of course, yeah. So after Jimmy Kimmel did it twice, and he wasn't going to do the next year, I remember, I always think about, oh man, who would be your number one draft pick of a host for the Oscars? Who would you want to be? Who would your dream pick for that? And I remember at the time, talking to my family about, who would be good. I was thinking about who would be good for the host, and I said, I think the two people that I would love to see host is Kevin Hart or Dwayne Johnson. I also like people like Conan O'Brien would be great. He's hosted a lot of the Emmys, and he's absolutely hilarious. I love to see like Conan O'Brien do it. And there's other, Jimmy Fallon, maybe he hosts, he's hosted stuff before. I think Justin Timberlake would be great. He was hilarious when he hosted the ESPYs one year. There's certain people like that I think everybody likes. I think you need to pick someone that is not polarizing, that everybody kind of likes, that's not too political, that turns off people. Um, it's very good at the host. He has hosted before. Is very good, a very funny person. Um, anyway, so when I said that, and then they said, and like I said, Kevin Hart, very funny. I've never really heard him be political. I think most everybody likes him. Dwayne Johnson, another one. He's a big movie star, but he's also got a good sense of humor, and he's also Saturday Night Live many times. So either one of those guys, I think, would, if he had them as a host, people would watch it just to watch them hosting. Of course, they announced Kevin Hart as the host, and I remember being like, "Wow, that was the guy I said that should host." And I was so excited that they picked him to host. And I was like, "Oh, well, good. We're gonna get away from Jimmy Kimmel, and we're gonna get actually a funny person into host." And I was gonna say that's gonna be make the Oscars a lot better. Of course, then we went through this whole thing where we're just trying to cancel everybody. This cancel culture happened, and then all of a sudden they found like tweets that happened 10 years ago that Kevin Hart made, and then they tried to cancel him, or they basically did. They said you can't host unless you apologize. He didn't apologize, so they said, okay, you can't host because your tweets were inoffensive or were offensive that happened 10 years ago. And so now, of course, who hasn't said something offensive 10 years ago in the movie industry? I mean, look at the people that are in the movie industry. You got a lot of people that are, alcoholics, drug addictions, sexual addictions, uh, name it, sexual harassments, all kinds of terrible things are happening in Hollywood. You got a lot of horrible people there in Hollywood. Of course, you look what happened with this whole, Kevin Spacey and Louis C.K. and Harvey Weinstein, and you go down the line. There's been all these people have done such horrible things in Hollywood. There's a lot of horrible people there. So if someone like Kevin Hart who's said something just a little bit offensive and he gets canceled, I mean, who is good enough to host? And that's what happened. So then they said, okay, we're just not going to have a host, which they never done. Like in maybe in the early years of the Oscars, they didn't have a host, but I mean, in the many decades, they always had a host. So they do without a host, and to me, that totally kind of killed the Oscars, the fun of it for me, the entertainment of watching somebody go up there and do a 10-minute monologue, making jokes, and then doing maybe a funny skit. You know, I really look forward to that. So that really kind of killed. I mean, they still had like Tina Fey or Amy Poehler and Maya Rudolph went up there and kind of did a little bit of a monologue one year, which was a little bit funny. But still wasn't the same. One year they had Queen do some songs because Bohemian Rhapsody was nominated for Best Picture, which was, okay. I like Queen, I like their songs, but just wasn't the same. Of course, this year it was ultimate worst. You had Regina King start off the show, and the way they started off was her at the red carpet, and then the camera followed her as she walked to inside the building onto the stage. And then she said some words for a couple minutes about, the year and all, being a difficult year and all that, and not being funny at all, of course. Such a boring opening to the show compared to, like I said, some of the greats. So, like, Billy Crystal, Steve Martin, and all those did such great jobs opening the show. This was such a boring way to open the show. And, of course, we got her talking. She made a line about George Floyd. Of course, that was a big... or the Derek Chauvin trial is a big thing that just happened recently. And, of course, Hollywood's going to talk about it because they love talking about politics instead of just talking about, movies like what should be. And she said something which, like, it makes you roll your eyes. Like, why do you have to talk about politics? It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but still, it was like, oh, my God, what a, terrible way to open the show. And then they had presenters, and I didn't watch, like I said, I haven't watched exactly all the presentations, all the acceptance speeches. I just watched the main ones. And for the most part, there was not really good acceptance speeches, really not memorable to me. I know somebody out there talked about politics, about, cops killing 3 people a day or something like that, which is like, oh my God, like, why do you have to talk about that? And Daniel Kaluuya winning Best Supporting Actor, and he talked about how great the Black Panther Party is, and I don't know Black Panther Party. I don't know a lot about it, but I don't know how great of a party that was, or organization that was. And it's definitely a political organization, so I don't know. I don't really like him having to talk about the Black Panther Party, how great it was. Like, I don't know about that, but um, for the most part, yeah. I mean, the speeches were a little political, not the worst. The last 2 years, the speeches have been so political and so polarizing, which I never understand. Because anytime you take a political stance, you're going to make half your audience upset at least. So why would you say something that's going to turn off half your audience? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're an artist, you want everybody to watch your stuff. I don't think it doesn't matter about politics. You just want everybody, Republican, Democrats, you want them to watch your stuff. But if you start making political speeches, then your Republicans aren't going to watch you, or the Democrats aren't going to watch you, and so then you're not going to make as much viewership, not going to make as much money. It just doesn't make any business sense. But unfortunately, that's where the Oscars are, and that's part of what probably is why the viewership is down so much, because people that are more conservative are just like, I'm done with movie or the Hollywood. I'm done with the award shows. All they do is bag on Republicans. So you turn off so many people because of that. That's part of the problem with the Oscars. I wish they can go back to not being so political. Of course, it's hard because you can't tell people not to. What they're going to give a speech, they have a chance to say whatever they want. You can't tell them you can't say something political. You have to let them have free speech. So it's kind of hard to not, to censor that part of it. But anyways, I would say it was not as bad this year, though he still had some political parts to it. But most part, the speeches just weren't that great. Part of the fun is especially watching the actors go up there and give, they're very happy. You want to see them humble. You want to see them, so thankful, so gracious of getting the award, and you want to see them crying almost. You want to see them giving passionate speeches about, how hard they worked for the part. I don't feel like we quite got that this year. Like I said, Daniel Kaluuya, he gave kind of, I don't know, his speech wasn't that great to me. The lady that won for Best Supporting Actress for Minari, she's Korean. She went up there, and a lot of people like her speech. It was a little bit of a mess to me because, English was not her first language, and she had a, huge accent. So it was a little bit of a mess. It was okay. There were some fun parts to it. And then you get to Frances McDormand wins for Best Actress, which was to me, it was not a huge upset, but it was a bit of an upset to me. I was not expecting her to win. And she went up there and gave like a 20-second speech and and she gave a weird speech. And it was just like, said something about, her work is her sword, or her sword is her work. And I don't know, they made this analogy about her sword and her work and how she likes work. And it's like, okay, thank you. And then she left, and it was like, that was it. It was like, you're not passionate, that you're one of the few people, only second woman ever to win 3 Oscars. 3 Best Actress Oscars. Only Katharine Hepburn's won more with 4. I mean, this is pretty historical, what Frances McDormand did, winning 3 Best Actress Oscars right now. And yet she gave no passion at all. So it was like, wow, that was a boring speech. That was nothing there. And then probably one of the great Oscar fails I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the worst has got to be Moonlight winning when they gave it to La La Land and they said, oh yeah, La La Land, you didn't win, Moonlight won. That was probably the worst fail that they've had. But this has got to be up there, maybe second worst fail, is that you always do Best Picture last. That's always the way it's been forever. And so they decided we're going to do Best Actress and Best Actor last, and Best Picture third to last. And I remember I sat down to watch the show at work. I finally got the chance to sit down and kind of watch it. They're doing Best Picture, and I thought, oh, show's almost over. Oh, they did Best Actor and Best Actress already? I missed Best Actor and Best Actress. And I went on my phone, and I was looking it up, and like, no, they haven't done Best Actor, Best Actress. I was confused. I'm like, what? Why are they doing Best Picture right now? This is so confusing. And I've seen other people say the same thing on other YouTube channels that, they're all kind of confused. Like, why are they doing Best Picture, not last? That's always the way you end the show. Well, and then it kind of dawned on you that they did Best Actor last, probably because they were expecting, as I was expecting, everybody was expecting Chadwick Boseman to win Best Actor since he just passed away this last year. So you just assumed he was going to get the sympathy vote and win Best Actor for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And so I'm sure the idea was that we're going to end with Chadwick Boseman winning. His widow is going to go up there and give a really, she's going to cry. She's going to give this passionate speech about Chadwick. and thank people. And it's going to be this very emotional last scene of the show, and which was a good idea. That would have been a great ending to the show. Had this, great speech done by the widow, and everybody clapping. Maybe it doesn't happen very often. You have a posthumous Oscar. Like last one was Heath Ledger. Did it. He won after he died. Um, and so you get to the last award, best actor, and you're waiting for Chadwick Boseman to win, and it's Anthony Hopkins. Total upset to me, total shock. I guess I did not see that come at all. If there's one Oscars I was 100% sure about, it was that Chadwick Boseman was gonna win, and so I was like floored. Like, which is kind of interesting. I mean, when there's upsets, it kind of makes it more the show a little more exciting. When you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened. Uh, so watching that, I was just like, wow, I can't believe Anthony Hopkins won and beat him. Uh, and then the fail part to me was that of all the five nominated actors that were nominated for Best Actor, only one person didn't show up for the award show. That was Anthony Hopkins. So the one guy who didn't show up for the award show wins Best Actor, the last award. And so he's not even there to give a speech. And so they end it with Joaquin Phoenix saying, well, we accept this award on his behalf. Bye. In the show. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was the worst ending to an award show. So anticlimactic to go, oh, the guy's not here. So, well, that's the end. I guess we'll just leave. It was, I remember watching it go, oh my gosh, it's kind of funny now looking at it. I was like, wow, I'm sure they're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. It's just so funny that, like, why Anthony Hopkins couldn't be there. The next day he gave kind of a speech about it on YouTube. So it's like there's no reason why he couldn't be there. He just didn't want to go. Maybe he thought he wasn't going to win. Or maybe he's just, older, and so he's like, I don't want to take the time to go. I don't care about award shows, But it does help when the person who wins is there to give the speech. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman, you can excuse because he passed away. You couldn't do anything about it. But at least Chadwick Boseman's widow or family would have went up there and gave a great speech. So he still could have gotten a really good speech out of that. But when Anthony Hopkins is not there and no one's there to speak for him, I mean, oh my gosh, like, just go, oh, that's it, bye. It totally took the fun and entertainment out of the show. Just to close in, I guess I'm getting close to 30 minutes on this talking about the Academy. The only other things you could, like I said, having a good host would make the show better. I think maybe I'm in the minority, but I love having songs sung in the show. This year they had songs sung before the show. I didn't see that until afterwards. I kind of went back and watched them on YouTube, and they were fine, but still, it's, I think, funner when you watch the people who are nominated for Best Song sing their songs on the show. I think, like I said, you want to be entertained. You want comedy. You want singing. I think you're dancing, maybe a dance number as part of it. Make it a big thing. That's fun to watch. The third thing is passionate speeches or fun speeches, which there were none this year, I would say. Fourth thing is, of course, really nominating movies that people care about. Nobody cared about these movies that are nominated. The 8 movies that are nominated for Best Picture. I talked to people about it. Almost everybody I've talked to said they've never seen any of these movies and they don't care to. So, and that's been a problem for a while. Academy hasn't nominated or given an Oscar to a really good movie in a while. I think of like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King won Best Picture. That was one of the maybe last really great Best Picture winners. But back in the day, it used to be like Sound of Music, Ben-Hur, Rocky. Some really popular movies used to win all the time. I think Titanic in the 90s. Forrest Gump, Braveheart. Movies that people really cared about won the Best Picture, and movies that people liked were nominated. This time, or this last 5 years, I say, maybe last 10 years, the movies just have not been that exciting that are nominated. So I don't know how to fix that problem. I wish they would, and some of the movies they nominate are usually politically motivated. They push the liberal agenda, so they usually like to nominate very liberal movies. And I guess, and like I said, people just don't care about that, and half your audience doesn't like those kind of movies, anyways. So trying to get more mainstream movies that are good, I think, are important. I think like they did Black Panther, which was good. I don't like Black Panther, but at least it was a movie everybody went and saw. So I think they need to nominate more movies like that people actually watch and like. So that would help because people would watch a show if they can have a movie to root for. Like I think of the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. I think there was a 2004 Oscars for the movie year of 2003. I love that movie so much, and I was pulling for that movie the whole show, and it was so fun to watch him win 11 awards. And so to me, that was the best Oscar show I've ever seen. Billy Crystal was hilarious as the host. But yeah, if you can get a movie that people are passionate about, they'll watch the award show because they want to pull for that award or for that movie to win, and they get excited when that movie wins. So you need to get that. That would really help the viewership. Um, Also, celebrities. I felt like there wasn't a lot of big celebrities this one. Like they didn't come out. You used to have, of course, back in the day, you used to have like Jack Nicholson was always in front row. Of course, then you want people like George Clooney, Brad Pitt. I guess Brad Pitt was there, but it used to be you just look in the audience and you just see this all these stars that you love that you watch their movies. And I felt like this year you look in the audience, you didn't see anybody. You didn't see a lot of big stars. So, I mean, and part of that is the whole COVID thing. They need to get back to filling out a theater full of stars. That would make it more exciting. Seeing more stars presenting. I think it was as good this year. Um, yeah, I think that would help. People want to see, movie stars that they like, that would help people want to go see the award show more. Uh, But yeah, I think if you do those like 5 things, whatever I said, I think you can shorten the word show too would help. I don't think you need all the awards. I think you need only like 10. Like if it was me, I would only do like the top 10 awards, like Best Picture, Actor, Actress, Supporting Actress, Screenplays, the two screenplays, Animated Feature, Original Song, Best Directing. I would do like those 10 categories and that's it. And the other ones you can give them awards, just don't have them at the award show because nobody cares about who wins best visual effects or who wins best sound, who wins best costume. We don't care about those people. They're not movie stars. We care about the more the movie star people. So we want to see them win awards and give the speeches. So if they could do that, I think that would make the award show much more watchable. And if they could hold it to like 2 hour show, I think that would make people want to watch it more. People don't want to sit through a 3 hour, 4 hour show. Yeah, so those are some things I think that could really help that show be what it used to be, a really fun, exciting, entertaining show. And I don't know if we'll ever get that again. Like I said, the Me Too movement killed it. I think the Oscars So White killed it when it's all about there's too many white people being nominated, and then it became about race and politics at that point, and that really kills an award show because the award show should be about what is the best movie, what is the best actor. It shouldn't be about we need this many black people, we need this many Asian people nominated, we need this many gay lesbians nominated, and go down the line. We just when you start saying we need this many of this race nominated, then it kills the whole idea of we're awarding the best people or the, who did the best job. Instead, we're awarding the person with a certain type of race that did the best job, and people don't want to see that. So I think that the Oscars So White campaign, whatever you want to call it, to me that really killed the Oscars also before the Me Too movement and the cancel culture killed it. Of course, and COVID-19 really killed it. So we'll see what happens next year if it goes up at all or if it stays the same under 10 million. If it does, then they really need to look at themselves and really make some drastic changes. So I say that this is maybe the worst Oscar award show I've ever seen in my life, and it's very sad to see. So it's hoping for something better next year. So thanks for watching this channel. I know I went over 30 minutes. I can always talk a lot about the Oscars. It's one of the things I'm passionate about is the Oscars and the awards season. I always been a big fan. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. I might do another video just on the awards, on the actual people that won. Talk about how I did on my predictions. Anyways, and so thank you and take care.